Fans of the Horus Heresy, Warhammer 40,000 and Resin Wargaming miniatures for science fiction, thank you very much for joining me for a miniature sample review of Spellcrow models. This is something completely new for me. This is a review of a product sample that's been sent to me by, as I say, Spellcrow, and Spellcrow approached me and asked if I was interested in doing a review for them. So I checked out their website and they produce a variety of compatible resin components, and particularly for ranges like Games Workshop, you could also use them with Anvil and other guys like that. Basically heroic 28 or 30mm models, whatever you want to call them. They also make wargaming terrain in resin as well. They very kindly sent me a sample of their models, which we're going to do an unboxing of and review to look at them. So yeah, just do bear that in mind when you're assessing my opinions in this review, that these miniatures have been provided to me free of charge. And you know, I always like to be impartial and straight with you guys and girls. So yeah, that's just to make you aware of that before we get into this. So what have I asked for? Well, they've got a big range, but what in particular intrigued me was some components, that the sort of things that particularly Forge World don't do for the Horus Heresy models, or you have to buy bigger kits to get hold of these parts. So there's some jetpack samples in here, I believe, some backpacks, a few weapons, and then a couple of bits of gaming terrain that I thought looked rather good. So that's what I think I asked for, but you know, whatever we've got, we will look at and review. So challenge number one, of course, is to gain entry into this box, which Spellcrow has packed rather thoroughly, to put it mildly, which is good. And I'm, as someone who's sold a lot of stuff on eBay, I always believe pack something to survive a small nuclear detonation, and then it will probably get there quick. Okay, I've got a friend who used to work as a postman here in the UK, and the stories he told me about what happens with packages and mail might well shock you if you're unfamiliar. So you might know from previous videos that I'm a bit of a, sometimes doing these, we might not necessarily cut the right bit, but I think I might have figured this one out for a change. So I got that bit off, that was a good start, and now what happens? Does this bit go up? This will probably turn into not so much a... Spellcrow might feel a little bit like this ends up as being a Leakycheese tries to get into the box review as opposed to actually looking at some models. Gosh, so we've got a load of stuff in here. Look at all these. Right, normal format here. We're going to look at these models. We're going to go over them and we'll see what the parts look like, and we'll talk about the quality as well. Let's get some of these out. Intriguing. Bits of terrain as well. Ah, yes. These are the sort of things that a number of manufacturers make as compatibles for 40k. A great thing that people like these guys do is they fill a gap in the market of the stuff that for whatever reason Games Workshop and Forge World don't make. Of course, there is a real desire in the gaming community to see them, to have these parts. Right, so let's start off with, shall we say, the accessories. So, all right, so these guys, I believe, are thermal guns, or what do they call these? These are like the thermal ray guns. So these are melter guns, or alternatives to melter guns. Or if you're playing a general sci-fi game, these would be, you know, the minds of your limit. So let's have a look at these. These are a bit mold slippy, these guys, and they've actually got, there's a pretty noticeable mold slip running down this component. So that's going to need a bit of cleanup, that, but it probably just about doable though. Nice looking weapons, and certainly you can see that they are melter inspired. Got another set of, so now we've got some Combi melter weapons, I believe. So those are kind of like your straight melter guns. These are now the Combi variant. Of course, now we've got 8th edition. These Combi weapons are kind of like the new king of weapons, really, because with the changes to the rules, you can now fire both at a small accuracy penalty. Yeah, these are cool looking. I actually I like these more than the other ones. These are good, really nice looking Combi guns. These are very nicely cast in terms of a surface finish. look very crisp. Oh, there's a little air bubble there, so that would need a bit of filling. Little bit of a slit to clean up there. Again, a bit on the top as well. That's doable. It can be fixed. That's more than I would like to clean up myself, you know, personally, but from the experience I've had of working on Forge World models, that is fixable. Good. And now what we're going to look at now. Okay, so next one. Now, if you're an Iron Warriors player in 30k or an Ultramarines player and you're a fan of either Tyrant Siege Terminators or Fulmentaris Terminators, we've only just within the last month or so got the Tyrant Siege Terminators after many years of waiting, and there are no Fulmentaris models available yet. So there is clearly a gap in the market for Cyclone style missile systems to mount on top of Terminators of various armor pattern types, and that's what these guys are. You could use these in 40k as well, so these could go on Indomitus, Tartaros, or possibly most commonly Cataphracti pattern armor. Bit of cleanup to do under there, but no, pretty nice. And you got like a targeting optic and then a set of missiles. Oh, I've not noticed that before. You've got two different styles of missiles. So you've got like a smaller warhead and then a larger warhead. So I don't know if one may be fragmentation missiles and one may be crack missiles or armor piercing missiles. Very good. I like those. And good to have alternatives as always for those. Right, another thing that you can't get from Forge World is jump packs for Mark IV Marines. These are sort of backpacks that you get on the Mark IV destroyer squads, and they've got quite a distinct and unique look compared to other Space Marine jump packs that have typically had a large pair of thrusters. These have got a large central thruster and then two smaller side units. Let's have a look at these then. So yeah, when I saw these, I thought, oh, well, this would be good to look at, because this is a sort of component that, you know, I've got friends who always want these. I mean, I've got a friend who's got some rampages for his World Eaters, and he was frustrated that Forge World don't do a separate set of jetpacks. Yeah, these look good. There's a couple of, yeah, you can see a little bit of mold displacement down the side. But that will clean up. Interesting look as well. That's a Mark IV style jetpack, and then we have these guys, which are rather retro backpacks. I saw these and they made me think Rogue Trader era 40k. They're quite neat. Perhaps haven't got as much surface detail as what you would expect to get perhaps from Forge World, but the design's good. Well, you know, you can buy them as accessories, so that's always handy. What's the casting like on these guys? Some little seams and tiny bit of displacement to sort out there. Again, yeah, another interesting variation on the jetpack design. These big turbine fans in the top as well. That's nice. Those are nice details. I like that. So these are probably going to all be similar. So we're just going to look for consistency of casting quality on these guys. That's going to need. That might clean up with a knife that bit. I mean, you know me, I'm very, if you've watched any of my content, you'll know I'm very particular when it comes to resin casting quality. Yeah, so there's just that bit there. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, yeah, you could fix that. I mean, if you weren't, there's two ways of fixing that. Either you could cut it down and smooth it all in, or you could build it up with some filler of choice. And this is a set of 5, so there's one more to look at. So this is, yeah, there's two twin and one single one. Good. And then you've got these almost like vectoring nozzles, you could imagine, for directing the thrust. Yeah, 2 different designs there of jump pack for powered armor Astartes style troops. I mean, Spellcrow call these are all part of their Space Knights range, so that's how they refer to them. Right, the final set of backpacks is something rather intriguing and not something that is missing necessarily in the Games Workshop lineup, but when I saw them, I really appreciated what the guys had tried to do with these. Now, so these are power armor backpacks that are suitable for Mark II and let's say Mark III Space Marines. They could go with any, right? So you think, well, why do you need that? Because Mark II and Mark III Space Marines, they come with backpacks, they got it. What I see in these is you got the visual style and design of the artwork that featured on the front of a lot of the Horus Heresy novels that was published by the Black Library. The artist who drew these had a very particular way of drawing his backpacks, or her backpacks, I don't know if it was a guy or a girl. They had these, they looked like, kind of like, you know, this section of it, like a Mark II and a Mark III backpack, but then it had these straight nozzles at the back. And I saw this and straight away I thought, yeah, that's paying homage to that design. I really like that. And it's, if you like the artwork, you have the Burning of Prospero game that also has artwork by the same artist with this style of backpack. So if you're looking to get that look into your models, and you know, it is a good and it's a distinctive look, you know, these guys have come up with an answer for you. These are very nicely cast, spot on. Other than a seam to remove. Yeah, there's a bob on those, very nice. And then the second set, so you get 10. So I'm guessing this is a kit of, I don't know, is it a kit of 10? Possibly it is a kit of 10. I have no idea what I'm going to do with these. I suppose I could take these, my Zinj Industries boarding shields, and put them on some plastic Mark III Space Marines, some Mark IIIs I got to create a kind of like an alternate weapon Space Marine squad. That might work. I'll have a think about it. Good. But yeah, those both very nicely cast as well. Right, so those are the miniature accessories. Now I'll just drop the camera down a bit, I think, and then we'll look at the other part. So we've got some barrels first, and then we've got a few pieces of terrain as well. So let's start by looking at the barrels. So we have a radiation hazard warning symbol there, a corrosive warning symbol there. Yeah, these are nice. You could keep these single, or you can mount them in little in clusters on bases. And of course, you know, they look good. They look really good, actually. I do like these. What's that? Poison. Maybe someone has done something like this, but I've not actually seen a set of models that come with hazard symbols printed on cylinders like these, or containers like this. So that's a neat little touch. That, yeah, you could have these singly for gaming, or you could put them onto bases as well as little clusters of cylinders. And then we have a second set as well. So I'm guessing these are the same. We've got poison, corrosive, and radiological hazard again. I like how the different, this is like a drum with a sealed top. That's a more resilient drum. And then the radiological hazard looks like it's a series of bolts that are holding the lid on for extra security. And they've got kind of like, you can see, they look like they've got lugs on for lifting. So here and here it's got like a lifting lug that you can imagine something doing that with. Yeah, they're lovely and beautifully cast. All you need to do with those is a little bit of cleanup there, I guess. Not too much, or maybe just fill that, but yeah, pretty much snip those off and they're good to go. Bit of cleanup there, but yeah, they're very nice. Yeah, good. So now we've got a smaller set of barrels, so sticking on the barrel theme. And oh, we've got flammable or explosive. So I wonder if we're going to get biohazard as well. That needs, there's been a slippage on the mould there, so that needs filling. And again, maybe a bit there, or that might sand down. Generally they're nicely formed. Got these sort of filler caps at the top. And let's have a look at the final 3. Oh, these are flammable. All right, so you get 5 flammable containers. So if you're a Heresy player or a 40k player, these may be Promethean containers. You could use those for any sci-fi game, and maybe even a modern game as a hazardous materials containers. Let me move those back in. Right, so that's the barrels, and now let's move on to the actual gaming train. So first we've got a wall. So this is, if I remember this right, I think this is kind of supposed to go together something like so. That's it, yeah. And you just, so it's just a small bit of terrain, but it's like a corner, like a street, well, the remains of a corner of a house. Yeah, and you could just stick it together, but then it'd probably be best off on some sort of base. But you could just keep it like that. If you were to pin it, then it had the strength so it doesn't break. Right, so let's have a look. So there's nice exterior bricks, these cornerstones and these sort of lower flags. This all looks very nicely done, and bits of rubble and dirt. And inside you can see that there's a damaged plaster wall where it's the single skin of brick. Maybe this is a garage or something. Obviously not an insulated building. And then the other side, I like the effect again with the damaged plaster. That looks authentic. One thing I will say about all these models, they well, you'd always wash your resin before you start. They don't feel like they've got a lot of release agent or whatever you want to call it on them. So they seem to have been nicely turned out. Right, now what's this one? This is this is like a pile of containers on a bit of terrain. Something perhaps a little imperialish looking there. Ammunition crate, maybe a stick of grenades, radiological warning container, and then what looks like quite a strong, robust box. So maybe this is sort of like a command, perhaps that could be a command control unit. I don't know. And I don't know what that is. Is that a nerf? Is that like, I'm not sure what that is. It almost looks like a scythe, but I don't think it is. I think it's just bits. But yeah, so that's good, and you can imagine just using that for a little bit of cover, a bit of a cover feature in a game, and it could be part of a camp or something in an urban setup. Yeah, really good. Beautifully cast. It's really well turned out. Yeah, that's just good to go, that is. And then the final thing is like, I think this all goes together. It might do, it might not, we'll find out. This is like a defensive position. It's like an earthwork with a firing position behind it. Looks really good, nice. But let's have a look at the casting. We've got a couple of air bubbles to fill. That's not, that's okay, so no big deal there. A few there, but nicely cast. If we move these back again, it's just going to keep moving back. And then we've got these two corner pieces as well. Okay, I see, right, yeah. This does go together. I think I might have asked for the right bits, or if I didn't ask for the right bits, the people at Spellcrow put the right bits in. Yeah, so these are corners to this firing embankment. Again, got this nice texturing on the wood panels, and then you've got the earth piled up against it to provide protection. And that would, that would go together like that. To look at it from the other perspective, like that. So that would probably be, that wants to really go on a base. I suppose it's designed so you can add more bits on, or you could just finish the end off with a bit of get some clay modelling putty just to do the edge of the stuff, or maybe just build something for the edges. Very good. I like that. So just do a little bit of a size check. Obviously, you know, with 8th edition, cover's taken on a slightly new perspective. This is a slightly ridiculous model, perhaps, to put in the cover, but it's what I've got. There you go. Got a custodian. Shall I go mad? Shall I have more custodians? Oh, well, one guy's going to have to stand at the back. A bunch of custodians hiding in... Well, of course, custodians don't hide, so a bunch of custodians holding the earthwork position. Those guys are enormous. If I just grab one of the miniatures from an earlier review I did, so when I did the review of the Evil Bear models, so these are 28mm modern. Yeah, he's not got his head on, but yeah, you could use it for 28mm as well. I like that. I think that wraps it up for this review of these free samples that have been provided very kindly to me by Spellcrow Miniatures. I'll leave a link to their website, of course, in the description. So do go check them out. They've got a load of accessories. This is only a fraction of what they do for their Space Knights range. And they also do accessories for a variety of other 40k era and 30k era forces, alongside the less generic terrain pieces like that. I'll be interested to hear what you think in the comments as always. Not sure what I'm going to do with all these freebies yet. Maybe some of them might get given away as prizes on channel Leakycheese later. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.